Hi everyone, and welcome to Adult Crafternoon with the Eaton Public Library. This week I'm going to be showing you how to make an embroidered card. This is a project that's going to take you a little bit of time, so go ahead and make yourself comfortable and we can go ahead and get started. If you picked up the kit from the library, you should have 2 pieces of cardstock, 2 pieces of colored paper, a styrofoam tray, 2 strands of embroidery floss, a push pin, and 2 needles. You'll also need a pencil and a pair of scissors in the end. To begin the project, take one of the pieces of cardstock and fold it in half. Write a message or draw a design on the front cover. Simple is better. Make sure you leave a little bit of space around the edges. Once you have your design in place, unfold your cardstock and you'll want your push pin in a moment. First though, decide what stitching pattern you want to use. On the back of your sheet of instructions, there is a set of 3 designs and 3 stitching patterns demonstrated: the back stitch, the split stitch, and the stem stitch. I recommend that you practice your stitches. To do a back stitch, poke 3 holes of equidistance. You can also use equidistant holes for the other 2 stitches. To actually do the back stitch, come up through the second hole, go back down through the first hole, and then go forward 2 spaces to come up through the third hole. And then again, go back 1 to go through the second hole. This stitch is counted as, on the back side, forward 2 and back 1 on the top. To do the stem or split stitch, again, poke 3 holes. These 2 stitches are basically the reverse of the back stitch. You're going to come up through the first hole and then down through the third hole. And you're going to come back 1 space and come up through the middle hole. Instead of forward 2 on the back and back 1 on the top, it's forward 2 on the top and back 1 on the bottom. The difference between the split stitch and the stem stitch is in the split stitch, you will actually come up through the middle of your thread, thereby splitting it. In a stem stitch, by contrast, instead of coming through the thread, you'll come off to the right or left side as appropriate. This allows you to make corners. Both the stem stitch and the split stitch are really good for curved objects. The back stitch is really good if you need a very straight line. Choose your stitch and then go ahead and punch your project. Punch your design as you need to for your chosen stitch, starting at the beginning of your letters. If you don't want to do the short back stitches, but you do intend to do a split or a stem stitch, you can use your needle to just simply do those short little back stitches. Once you have your whole design punched, you can go back and erase the lines. If you think you're going to have a hard time seeing your design and knowing where to go ahead and leave them in place, though, because you're just going to be sewing on top of them. Choose the color of floss you're interested in, your stitching pattern, and begin stitching. There's no need to make a knot. We're going to deal with that later. So as you can see, here we have a split stitch. I'm going to go down through, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the tail end. So we have this tail end of our embroidery floss. We don't need to tie a knot, but I am going to tuck it underneath a couple of my stitches, just to lock it in place. Pull this up a little bit. And ideally, I'd have a little bit more of a tail, but it's okay. I'll pull it down, pull it through that way. There we are. We're going to be covering that up at the end, so it won't be visible. So we don't have to tie a knot, we're just going to tuck it underneath. Go ahead and finish your stitches all the way along. When you've finished your project, go ahead and turn it over, take the remaining floss, and simply go back through a few of your stitches. No need to tie it off. Once you've sewn back through a couple of your stitches, clip the excess. Now, you're going to want one of your pieces of paper. Go ahead and scallop the edges. And glue them inside your finished card so that they cover your stitching. A glue stick is perfect for this last part of the project, but otherwise you can use any kind of glue. Just give yourself a nice thin bead around the edge of your paper, enough in the center to hold it down, and put the paper down such that it covers the back side of your stitching. If you want to have a matching piece on the other side, just go ahead and glue it down as well. And there you have it, your very own hand-embroidered card. Thanks for watching.